Hey, what's up, Internet? My name's Austin, and today we are going to be getting into a little bit of a story time. I'm trying just a few different things on the channel, and I'm seeing what you guys like and what you don't like. And I figured I've got a lot of stories in my life. Some of them are pretty good. I'm a pretty bad storyteller, but that's something I can work on, right? I don't have to always be a bad storyteller. I could be a good storyteller if I wanted to, right? Right? Anyway, we'll find out. But before we get into it, please make sure you smash the like button, you subscribe, and do all that fun stuff. Whenever you get into the video, please comment. Just tell me how your day's doing. Tell me a specific kind of story that you like to hear from people. Just give me some video ideas so I can yoink them and not give you credit. And aside from that, let's just get into it. So, when I was younger, I want to say like I was 8 or 9, I was really close to my family. So like, I'm not incredibly close with my family now, but back then it was closest in my entire life. Particularly with my grandparents. We would go on these amazing trips every summer to New York. And this was like a super fun cross-country trip where we would sit and we'd listen to CDs. So back in the day, we had CD players, and I would listen to my CDs, and I thought I was super awesome because I would have like the anti-skip, thing or whatever. Y'all don't care. So we would eventually get up to New York, and we would go up and see my cousins. And the entire reason we would go to New York was to grab my cousins for the summer, and then we would drive back down, and we would, spend the summer together. They would stay at my grandparents' house, and we would spend a lot of weekends together, and we would go off and we would have just an amazing summer. And then, at the end of the summer, they would drive back up and everybody would go to school, and it was amazing. So, there's a lot of stories that come from these road trips. I have so many memories, so many coming of age tales, if you will. I met my first like girlfriend on one of these trips. It was like we dated for like 2 days, but it was my first like legit, like she called herself my girlfriend, and I called her my girlfriend type deal. So first things first, let me introduce my cousins. We have the older male cousin. We'll use fake names just for anonymity. We'll call him Houston, and my older female cousin Brittany, and my younger male cousin Steven. Really, the only one that's important for this specific story is my older male cousin Houston. See, Houston was like a big kid. Like he was like 12 or 13, and I was like 8 or 9. So like from an 8 or 9 year old perspective, 12 or 13 is big kid status. Okay, that's like getting into junior high. I don't even know how the grades work nowadays, so let me know down in the comments what a 12 or 13 year old is. But whenever I was 8 or 9, I want to say I was in like third grade. Was it I don't know, maybe second grade, maybe, I don't know. I know I was in 7th grade whenever I turned 13, I think. I might be wrong. Anyway, it's not important. My younger cousin was a bit on the younger side. Like I'm not talking about my older cousin Houston. I'm talking about my younger cousin Steven. And my younger cousin really wanted to go. He really wanted to hang out with the big kids. But my grandparents were not having any of that. They were not about to let us take care of, I want to say he was like 2 years old or younger than me, maybe a year younger than me. He was like 6 or 7 or something like that. And, whenever you're that age, that's like a big deal. But whenever you get, to today, that's nothing. A year difference, really? That is absolutely nothing. Anyway, So my older female cousin was generally just not interested in my cousin and I's antics. She had no desire to hang out with us. She thought I was pretty cool. I absolutely adore her even to this day. But you know, they were young kids. They didn't want to be around each other. They see each other all the time. They don't want to hang out with each other. So anyway, my family and I, we go to this tourist trap called the Seven Falls. I want to say that's in Colorado, but back then, like the Seven Falls, I want to say they had like a logo where it was like a bunch of different colored falls, and then if you looked close enough, I'm pretty sure they had like a light shining onto the falls, so that it was like it was 7 different colors of light coming off of the falls. Which looked absolutely crazy to, you know, an 8 or 9 year old. It wasn't exactly like Niagara Falls, because the Niagara Falls, whenever I saw that, gave me that, you know, whoa feeling. And we, you know, on these trips, there was one time we went on we went on one of the coasts and we got to see the falls like up close, and it was absolutely bananas, 100% crazy. I can't wait to go back and we actually get on to I want to say like the Liberty boat or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, so the Seven Falls was super cool. You know, not necessarily Niagara Falls, but it was cool to see in person, especially at such a young age. I was so lucky. And as far as the Seven Falls, like in retrospect, the Seven Falls is just like a river that's got a couple of like 15 to 20 foot drops. And each one of those drops counted as a waterfall. So it was just kind of like, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the Seven Falls. I mean, it's cool, but not as big of a deal as I made it out to be whenever I was younger. So regardless, it's a story that I still remember to this day. Unfortunately, I don't think it was because of the waterfalls, but because of a trail at the top of the 7 waterfalls. So when we first arrived, my cousin was really unimpressed. And I just remember him and I just being ready to go immediately. And I was at that age whenever, you know, the big kid wants to hang out with me. So I'm going to act a certain way so that he thinks that I'm cool type deal. I am not like that anymore. I do not care. But back in the day, big deal to me, big deal. I wanted my cousin's approval because he was a big kid. And you know, the bragging rights and all that fun stuff. So sometimes I would act a certain way just so that he would think that I was cool. So, you know, him and I are pretty bored. As soon as we get there, we just sit down on this bench and we're just like acting like spoiled brats, and we're acting like we're ready to go. And, you know, at the time, I don't think I probably would have acted any different. I don't know. So he asks, so my cousin sees a staircase and he is amped and he's ready to go. I am afraid of heights. I am not ready to go. I am not trying to go. My cousin apparently does not care about heights. Or he wanted to see me chicken out and then, you know, him not have to go or something along those lines. I do not want to go. But I'm not about to chicken out in front of him. So, you know, I'm like, Grandma, I mean, you really want us to go up all those steps? You know, like, you see how high that is? You see how big that gap is in between, you know, the stairs and you know what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to be like, Grandma, you know, like, pull me out. I don't want to do this. Say I'm too young. Say I'm too little. Say what you got to say. I am not trying to do this right now. And, you know, the 1,000,000 to 1 chances she's like, oh, yeah, that seems fine. You guys go on up. Like, I'm not about to go up there because if I go up, I ain't coming down. But, yeah, you guys, you go ahead and have a blast. So I'm not particularly pleased by the verdict that my grandmother has bequeathed upon me. But, you know, deal's a deal. I can't chicken out now. I don't want to be a chicken, you know? So, my grandmother obliges, and not only did we go up this absolutely massive staircase, but we raced up it, which it made it a lot easier going up, but like it didn't really let me appreciate what I was going up, especially in the context of going down, right? Going down was a big deal. So anyway, we go up to this absolutely massive staircase, and I'm freaking out in my mind. But I kind of trick myself, and I'm just like, I'm not about to let my cousin win. And we went up it. We didn't take a break, and when we finally got up it, we were so out of breath. It was crazy. I just remember, both of us hunched over, hands on our knees, just like breathing in and out and just trying to catch our breath. And my cousin, I guess he was just looking around and he saw the sign, and he was like, in between breaths, he was just, look. And then he gets back down on his knees and he just points over at the sign. So, like I put my hands on my hips and I'm looking at the sign, and I'm breathing just as hard as he is, but I'm trying to act like, I recover quickly. Because, I'm just super cool like that. I recovery rate is magnificent in comparison. And, I look in the direction, and, we see a sign, with some jibber jabber on it. But the premise was we saw a sign with an arrow on it and the word gold. And, I'm trying to get rich. I don't know about you. I ain't trying to work for the rest of my life. If I see a sign with the word gold on it and an arrow pointing in a direction, there's no contest. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do that day, but the one thing that just got pushed up to the front of the queue is going to where that arrow was. So I don't even remember it registering really, how long we were gone, but we were gone for a hot minute. I remember on the way back, the sun starting to go down. And granted, we had left the hotel at 11 o'clock, and we had stayed at a hotel right around the corner from this waterfall, So we've been gone for a long time. So we go up, and we're going down this trail or whatever. We're going to back up a little bit. We just got up to the top. We just saw the sign with the arrow and the gold at it, and we're walking down this trail. And every so often I'm just like, hey, do we know how long this goes? And he's not worried about it. He's trying to get that gold. And I'm trying to be cool, but I'm also like, we've been gone for a minute. And he's just like, all right. If it's not around this corner, then we'll turn back around. Well, it happened to be around that corner. We found in retrospect, what I remember it looking like was a grave. That's what I remember. I don't know how true that is, but what I remember in my mind is it was a grave, and we were scouring the dirt around this grave, and we were kind of sifting through it with our hands, and each of us found a little golden nugget. And we absolutely lost our minds. It almost seemed like it happened at the same exact time. It was meant to be. We both found a little golden nugget, and we absolutely lost our minds. And we were just like, we've been gone for a minute, but whenever we get back, dinner's on us, boy. Dinner's on us, boy. We were dapping each other up, hitting each other on the back, good job. I can't believe you made it up that staircase. So we start going back, and this is about the time I look up in the sky and I start seeing the sky getting dark. And, we finally, I keep thinking for some reason that we made a wrong turn. Because at this time we're tired. We are dog tired. And we get up to the top of this staircase, and I forget how absolutely massive this staircase is. I'm like getting vertigo just thinking about being at the top of this waterfall. And we're heading down, and I just noticed there's like a lot of people just kind of like on the edges of the area. Like whereas before there was a lot of people like eating and a lot of people, granted, I feel like this was like right around lunchtime whenever we left. The middle areas are no longer populated, and we start coming down from the top of the staircase, and whenever we get down to the middle of the staircase, that's about the time whenever we notice like a bunch of brown uniforms are starting to like point at us and telling us to come down and stuff like that, and we're like, okay. So we get to the bottom of the staircase, and there's like 3 of these brown uniforms, and I am freaking out because my mother taught me about stranger danger, and I am not trying to deal with this. So I remember exactly where my grandmother was, and we are heading directly in that direction, right? And we finally get in the vicinity, and they had meandered a little further. They were basically at the guard station or the ranger station in that area. And whenever we approached them, and just to set the scene a little bit, both of my other cousins that had stayed there, they had gone to the restroom, and it was just it looked like the ranger supervisor and then my grandfather and my grandmother. We were approaching to my grandmother's back. And we have these 3 super big brown suits escorting us, and as soon as I see my grandma, I'm just like, grandma. I'm freaking out. I'm like, these guys are trying to take me. Just absolutely not trusting anything that they have to say to me. And I just remember my grandma just like whipping around and just being like, oh, and it's just the biggest alligator tears of just like being so happy to see us. And she was just so happy to see us. So whenever we finally saw her, we saw the big alligator tears. She made absolutely sure that we were okay. We were not hurt. And then she immediately stopped talking to us, and she didn't talk to it. We had like 3 days of the trip left, right? Did not talk to us for 3 days. She would occasionally just slip in that jab of like, we don't respect her type deal, which, I'm older now. I wouldn't say that we didn't respect her. It was just kind of like kids being kids type deal. But it was pretty awkward. It was pretty awkward being in a car with somebody and just knowing that they're mad at you and knowing that like, nope, if you got something you need, you better ask grandpa. You know what I mean? She is not trying to hear that. So apparently what the big deal was, I mean, granted, we were gone for literal hours. Whenever we had just asked if we could go up to the top of these stairs. But apparently one of the park rangers in his infinite wisdom let it slip that there was a possibility that we fell off of the staircase and into the waterfalls. And they had every park ranger available skimming the riverside for bodies. Like, what? Why is you got a million straws you can pull from the hat and you pulled that one? Like, you were looking in the hat and you were like, yep, that's a good one to pick. And you gave that one to my grandmother. Really? So, it's actually crazy to think about. Your grandmother was going through the prospect of having to tell her two of her daughters that she was responsible for like letting her sons get killed. And more like, what do you do from there? Like, do you just turn the car around and just take the other 2 g- granddaughters and grandsons? Do you just take them back to New York, or do you keep them for the summer? Do you fly them back on a plane? It's a super sad thing to think about. Anyway, so the reason that we're all here, and I'm sure you can tell by now, I did not find a nugget of gold. At the top of the stairs, I'm pretty sure it said something along the lines of Fool's Gold Trail or something like that, because what we found was Fool's Gold, and that area was famous for it. We found that out because we told my grandfather, like, once we had gotten home and we were kind of like amped, and we were, he was cool about the entire thing. He just thought, he knew we were fine. He knew we were off doing, whatever, doing boy stuff. And whenever we asked him, like, hey, do you think we could each split like a piece of our nugget of gold and give it to grandma, and then, like, you guys have, enough money to last you for the rest of your lives? Because we had entirely good perspective on just real gold, how much that's actually worth. And my grandpa, he thought it was hilarious. He told us, she would appreciate it no matter what. He didn't even really tell us that we got Fool's Gold. He just taught us about Fool's Gold, and we were like, oh, you think this is probably Fool's Gold, huh? And he's like, yeah, probably. But he was just super cool about it. And after that, I told my cousin to, I left, the next morning. My mom came and picked me up. Everything was super awkward. I told my mom what happened, and she thought it was super funny, but made me promise, like, never to tell my grandmother. Sorry, Grandma, if I just told you. Sorry, Mom, if Grandma just found out. Anyway, that was my story time. I hope you enjoyed that. If you liked it, please drop me a like. If you've stuck around this long, please make sure to subscribe. And aside from that, check out my socials down in the description. I've got a Discord down there. Please let me know if you liked this, if you want to see more like this, or if you want to see different video ideas. I am completely open to any suggestions you might have, and I think that's going to do it for me. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.